After a much longer extended break from covering it than I initially expected, welcome back to my coverage of Noah N. Copeland's Sonic Triple Trouble 16-bit. If you can't remember what happened last time, we had just completed Meta Jungleera Zone and defeated Wood Butter Undorf, before jumping onto a giant floating metal orb that's apparently a Zeppelin under the command of Dr. Eggman. It's a long, difficult zone, filled with traps and obstacles around every corner. Oh, it's a single act stage. Huh. Egg Zeppelin Zone starts off with us perilously hanging onto a beam jutting out the side of the Zeppelin, in a scenario that feels reminiscent of a very similar set piece in Sonic 2. As we progress through the act, you'll plainly see that this zone, while technically an original level for this fan game, is clearly cribbing from the likes of Wing Fortress, Sky Chase and Flying Battery. This set piece is much better than Wing Fortress's equivalent, however, being far longer and much more thought out. Whereas that entire sequence was predicated on quickly realising where you need to go before the metal panels go flying, you have far more control here, which has allowed the developers to be more devious with obstacles. Beams will be hidden partially off screen, spike balls will block certain angles, and turrets will test your reflexes. Surmount this first obstacle, and you'll end up inside the Zeppelin for a short and frankly quite uninteresting jaunt through the lower deck. This whole zone's a little more story focused than the rest of the game so far, so this area is clearly only here to break up the previous set piece and an upcoming cutscene. The only obstacles here are some rotating platforms which require some timing to jump between, and these laser gates, which are either completely harmless or far too quick to avoid, depending on if you see them or not before approaching. As I've just mentioned though, this whole area is far too short to be really offensive, as you're almost immediately given a cutscene where Sonic smashes a monitor, then looks on as Eggman seems to run simulations on cloning the Chaos Emerald he collected in the prologue chapter. As a meter-tall blue hedgehog though, you're on the stealthiest soul out there, and Eggman quickly realises your presence, and decides the best course of action is to just let gravity and pressure differences drag you out of the airship into a long fall down. God, between Sonic trying to kill Eggman at the start, and Eggman deciding you don't even deserve a boss fight here, no one has any chill in this game, do they? Admittedly, this isn't the smartest way to kill Sonic when he's got a friend next to him that, you know, can fly, but clearly this was just a reflexive action. The capsule you just destroyed luckily contained rocket boots, saving you from an untimely demise and beginning the second of Egg Zeppelin's 3 set pieces. In another similar moment to Sonic 2's ending stages, you have to chase down an Eggman piloted airship using aerial technology, except this time, there's no threat of Tails deciding he's had enough and letting you fall to your death at a whim. The whole thing is once again quite fun, although there are a few lame glitches I noticed while passing the Zeppelin's stern. Land on the roof of the vessel and oh god, what is that noise? I was convinced the constant screech these turbines make was my laptop either giving up the ghost or some gimmick where the ship was slowly falling apart. Nope, just these completely harmless fans, which you really should only end up hitting if you have as little skill as me. In my defense, these background pillars look like they're a lot more solid than they actually are. At this point, you'll probably have noticed the entire stage has progressed through the archaic gimmicks you'd find in an ancient game like Sonic 2, and it's decided it's time to crib from its sequel, and its airship level. Mines on the ground, tiny annoying bandits that travel back and forth constantly, plus these grab rails that are at least significantly less temperamental than their Sonic 3 and Mania cousins. Throw in a chemical plant throwback with these tunnels through to the bottom of the Zeppelin, where I meet my untimely demise, and you have yourself a real Eggman ship. It was at this point I realised maybe Tails would be a better fit for the giant fortress in the sky, while with his ability to, you know, fly. Past this section, you'll come across the engine for this vehicle, which in the void left by the non-existent boss fight, takes their place as having the one damage sprite that's way more detailed than everything else in the zone. Destroy it, then run through the collapsing ship as the game begins the inevitable countdown to destruction segment. The game's commitment to cliché is commendable. I thought we would end the zone with one final Sonic 3 callback, kicking down the door and riding it down the mountain face of the upcoming snow level, but no. It simply drops away and leaves you to anticlimactically end up landing face down in a snowdrift. How embarrassing. Welcome to Robotnik Winter Zone. Ignore the crash landing happening in the background, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Ciao!
Yeah.